Sam was a 12-year-old boy who lived in a small village near the mountains. He had brown hair, bright curious eyes, and a heart full of dreams about adventure. He lived with his mother in a small house at the edge of the village. His father had died when Sam was very young, and he did not remember much about him. But his mother always told him that his father was a brave man who loved to explore unknown places. One rainy afternoon, Sam was sitting by the window and watching the rain fall on the muddy streets. He was bored because he could not go outside to play with his friends. His mother was busy cooking in the kitchen, and the house felt quiet and dull. Sam decided to go up to the attic to find something interesting to do. The attic was a dusty old room at the top of the house. Nobody went there very often. It was filled with old boxes, broken furniture, and things that belonged to Sam's grandfather. His grandfather had died many years ago, even before Sam was born. But Sam had heard many stories about him. People said he was a strange man who spent his whole life searching for something. Nobody knew what he was looking for. Sam climbed the wooden ladder and pushed open the small door to the attic. The room smelled old and dusty. Sunlight came through a small dirty window and made patterns on the floor. Sam looked around at all the old things. There were wooden boxes everywhere. Some had old clothes inside. Others had books with yellow pages and faded writing. Sam walked slowly through the attic, touching things and wondering about their stories. Then he saw something in the corner of the room. It was an old wooden chest that he had never noticed before. The chest was covered with dust, and there was a strange symbol carved on its top. The symbol looked like a mountain with a star above it. Sam felt his heart beat faster. Something told him that this chest was special. He knelt down and tried to open it. But the chest was locked. Sam looked around and found a rusty old key hanging on a nail on the wall. He took the key and put it in the lock. It fit perfectly. Sam turned the key, and the lock opened with a clicking sound. Inside the chest, Sam found many strange things. There were old coins from countries he did not know. There were small statues made of stone. There were letters written in languages Sam could not read. But at the bottom of the chest, Sam found something that made his eyes grow wide. It was an old piece of paper, folded many times and tied with a red string. Sam carefully untied the string and unfolded the paper. It was a map. But it was not like any map Sam had ever seen. It showed mountains, rivers, forests, and valleys. There were strange symbols drawn all over it. And in the center of the map, there was a big red X mark. Sam knew what that meant. The X mark showed where something was hidden. This was a treasure map. Sam studied the map carefully. He recognized some of the places on it. The mountains in the north looked like the mountains near his village. The river on the map looked like the Silver River that flowed through the valley. But there were also places on the map that Sam did not recognize. There was a forest called the Dark Woods. There was a valley called the Valley of Echoes. And the X mark was in a place called the Cave of Shadows. Sam had never heard of these places before, but he knew that they must be real. His grandfather had drawn this map, and his grandfather had spent his whole life searching for something. Maybe this was what he was looking for. Maybe he never found it. Sam felt excitement growing inside him. He wanted to find out what was hidden at the X mark. He wanted to complete the quest that his grandfather could not finish. He wanted to be an explorer, just like his grandfather was. But Sam also felt afraid. The places on the map sounded dangerous. The Dark Woods, the Valley of Echoes, the Cave of Shadows. These were not friendly names. They sounded like places where bad things could happen. Sam was just a boy. Could he really go on such a dangerous journey? Sam heard his mother calling him for dinner. He quickly folded the map and put it in his pocket. He climbed down from the attic and went to the kitchen. But his mind was not on food. His mind was on the map and the treasure and the adventure that was waiting for him. That night, Sam could not sleep. He lay in his bed and looked at the map by the light of a candle. He traced the path from his village to the X mark with his finger. The journey would take many days. He would have to cross rivers and climb mountains and walk through dark forests. It would be the most difficult thing he had ever done. But Sam made a decision. He would go on this journey. He would find the treasure. He would make his grandfather proud. The next morning, Sam woke up early. The sun was just rising, and the sky was painted with orange and pink colors. Sam got out of bed quietly so he would not wake his mother. He packed a small bag with some food, a water bottle, a knife, a rope, and a blanket. He put the map carefully in his pocket. Sam wrote a short note for his mother. He did not want her to worry too much. The note said that he had to go somewhere important and that he would come back soon. He knew his mother would be worried anyway, but he could not tell her about the map. She would not let him go. Sam opened the front door and stepped outside. The morning air was fresh and cool. Birds were singing in the trees. The village was still quiet because most people were still sleeping. Sam took a deep breath and looked toward the mountains in the distance. Somewhere beyond those mountains, his adventure was waiting. Sam started walking. He followed the path that led out of the village and toward the Silver River. According to the map, he had to cross the river first. Then he had to go through the green meadows. After that, he would reach the dark woods. As Sam walked, he thought about what might happen on his journey. He thought about the dangers he might face. He thought about the treasure he might find. But mostly, he thought about his grandfather. He wondered what kind of man his grandfather was. He wondered why he had spent his whole life searching for this treasure. He wondered if his grandfather would be happy that Sam was finally going to find it. The sun rose higher in the sky, and Sam walked further from his village. He did not look back. He kept his eyes on the path ahead. His adventure had begun. Sam walked for many hours under the warm sun. The path was dusty, and his feet were getting tired. But he did not stop. He kept thinking about the treasure and the adventure that waited for him. By the middle of the day, he reached the Silver River. The river was wide and the water was moving fast. Sam stood at the edge and looked at the other side. He could see the green meadows there, covered with tall grass and colorful flowers. But first, he had to find a way to cross the river. Sam walked along the riverbank, looking for a bridge or a shallow place where he could walk across. After walking for some time, he found an old wooden bridge. The bridge was very old, and some of its wooden boards were missing. It did not look safe at all, but it was the only way to cross. Sam stepped onto the bridge carefully. The wood made a creaking sound under his feet. He held onto the rope railing and walked slowly, one step at a time. He tried not to look down at the rushing water below. His heart was beating fast, and his hands were sweating. Suddenly, one of the wooden boards broke under his foot. Sam screamed and grabbed the rope railing with both hands. His leg went through the hole in the bridge, and he could feel the cold water splashing on his shoe. For a moment, he thought he was going to fall into the river. But Sam did not give up. He pulled himself up with all his strength. He managed to get his leg out of the hole and continued walking across the bridge. He was more careful now, testing each board before putting his full weight on it. Finally, after what felt like forever, he reached the other side of the river. Sam sat down on the grass and took deep breaths. His heart was still beating fast. That was the most scary thing he had ever done. But he had done it. He had crossed the river. He felt proud of himself. After resting for a while, Sam continued his journey. He walked through the green meadows, surrounded by tall grass that reached up to his waist. Butterflies flew around him, and the air smelled sweet like flowers. It was a beautiful place, and Sam wished he could stay here longer. But he had to keep moving. As the sun started to go down, Sam could see the dark woods in the distance. The forest looked different from the meadows. The trees were tall and thick, and their leaves were so dense that no sunlight could pass through them. The forest looked dark and mysterious, even from far away. Sam decided to rest for the night before entering the forest. He found a big rock and sat down beside it. He ate some bread and cheese from his bag and drank some water. The sky turned dark, and stars started to appear one by one. Sam had never spent a night alone outside before. He felt lonely and a little scared. But then Sam looked up at the stars and thought about his grandfather. Maybe his grandfather had sat in the same place many years ago. Maybe he had looked at these same stars. This thought made Sam feel less alone. He wrapped himself in his blanket and closed his eyes. Soon, he fell asleep. The next morning, Sam woke up to the sound of birds singing. The sun was shining, and the meadow looked even more beautiful than yesterday. Sam packed his things and ate a small breakfast. Then he walked toward the dark woods. When Sam reached the edge of the forest, he stopped and looked inside. The trees were so close together that it was hard to see the path. The air was cold and damp. Strange sounds came from deep inside the forest. Sounds of animals moving. Sounds of branches breaking. Sounds that Sam could not identify. Sam took a deep breath and stepped into the forest. Immediately, everything around him became dark. The thick leaves above blocked out most of the sunlight. Sam had to walk slowly because he could not see the ground clearly. Roots and rocks were everywhere, waiting to make him trip and fall. Sam walked through the forest for hours. The path twisted and turned in confusing ways. Sometimes Sam thought he was walking in circles. He kept looking at the map, trying to find the right direction. But it was difficult because everything in the forest looked the same. Then Sam heard something that made him stop. It was a growling sound coming from somewhere nearby. Sam looked around but could not see anything in the darkness. The growling sound came again, louder this time. Something was watching him. Sam felt fear rising in his chest. He wanted to run, but he did not know which way to go. He stood very still and listened. The growling sound was getting closer. Then, from behind a bush, a large gray wolf stepped out. The wolf was big and strong. Its eyes were yellow, and they were staring right at Sam. The wolf growled again and showed its sharp teeth. Sam knew he was in great danger. Sam remembered something his mother had told him once. She said that animals can sense fear. She said that if you ever meet a wild animal, you should not run. You should stay calm and back away slowly. Sam tried to stay calm, even though his heart was racing. He did not look directly into the wolf's eyes. He started to back away slowly, one small step at a time. The wolf watched him but did not move. Sam kept backing away, step by step, until the wolf was out of sight. Then Sam turned and walked as fast as he could without running. He did not stop until he could no longer hear any sounds behind him. When he finally stopped, he was breathing hard and his legs were shaking. But he was safe. He had escaped from the wolf. Sam realized that this journey was more dangerous than he had thought. He was not just looking for treasure. He was fighting for his life. But he could not turn back now. He had come too far. Sam continued walking through the dark woods. The forest seemed endless. But finally, after many more hours, Sam saw something different ahead. There was light coming through the trees. Sam walked faster and soon came out of the forest. In front of him was the most beautiful valley he had ever seen. Mountains surrounded it on all sides. A small river ran through the middle. The grass was green, and flowers of every color grew everywhere. This must be the Valley of Echoes, Sam thought. Sam walked into the valley and looked around. It was very quiet here. Too quiet. There were no birds singing. There were no insects buzzing. The only sound was the soft flow of the river. Then Sam called out, just to hear something. His voice echoed back to him from the mountains. It sounded strange, like many people were calling out at the same time. Sam understood why this place was called the Valley of Echoes. According to the map, Sam had to cross this valley to reach the Cave of Shadows. He started walking toward the other side of the valley. But as he walked, he noticed something strange. He felt like someone was watching him. He kept looking around, but he could not see anyone. Sam tried to ignore this feeling and kept walking. But the feeling grew stronger. Then he heard footsteps behind him. Sam turned around quickly, but there was no one there. He heard footsteps again, this time from his left. He turned, but again saw nothing. Sam started to feel scared. Was there something invisible following him? Was this valley haunted? Sam did not know. But he knew he had to keep moving. He walked faster, and soon he was running. The footsteps seemed to follow him, getting faster too. Finally, Sam reached the other side of the valley. The footsteps stopped. Sam looked back at the valley and caught his breath. He did not know what had been following him. Maybe it was just the echoes playing tricks on him. Maybe it was something else. But he was glad to be out of there. Ahead of him, Sam could see a mountain with a dark opening near its base. That must be the Cave of Shadows. That was where the treasure was hidden. Sam had almost reached his goal, but he had a feeling that the most difficult part of his journey was still ahead. Sam stood at the entrance of the Cave of Shadows and looked into the darkness. The cave opening was large, big enough for a giant to walk through. Cold air came out from inside, making Sam shiver. He could not see anything beyond the first few steps. The darkness inside was complete and frightening. Sam knew he could not go inside without light. He looked around and found some dry sticks on the ground. He also found some dried grass and leaves. He remembered how his mother had taught him to make fire. She had shown him how to rub two sticks together very fast until they got hot enough to make a spark. Sam sat down and started rubbing two sticks together. It was hard work. His arms got tired and his hands hurt. But he kept trying. After a long time, a small spark appeared. Sam quickly put the spark on the dried grass. He blew on it gently. The grass started to burn. Sam added more grass and then small sticks. Soon, he had a small fire. Sam took a long, thick stick and wrapped one end with dried grass. He put this end in the fire until the grass caught flame. Now he had a torch that would give him light inside the cave. Sam stood up and walked toward the cave entrance. He held the torch in front of him. The flame made dancing shadows on the cave walls. Sam took a deep breath and stepped inside. The cave was much bigger than Sam had expected. The ceiling was so high that the light from his torch could not reach it. The walls were made of dark gray rock, wet and slippery. Water dripped from somewhere above, making a constant dripping sound that echoed through the cave. Sam looked at the map again. It showed that the treasure was deep inside the cave. He had to follow a path that went down and down, deeper into the mountain. Sam started walking, holding his torch high and watching every step he took. The path went through narrow passages and large rooms. Sometimes Sam had to squeeze through gaps in the rock that were barely big enough for him. Other times, he walked through spaces so big that they could hold 100 people. The cave was like a maze, with many different paths leading in different directions. Sam was glad he had the map. Without it, he would have been lost forever. The map showed him which turns to take and which paths to avoid. It was like his grandfather had explored this cave many times and had learned all its secrets. After walking for what felt like hours, Sam came to a large underground room. In the middle of the room, there was an underground lake. The water was black and still, like a mirror made of darkness. Sam had to find a way around the lake to continue his journey. Sam walked along the edge of the lake, looking for a path. The ground was slippery, and he had to be very careful. One wrong step, and he would fall into the black water. Sam did not want to think about what might be living in that water. As Sam walked, he heard a splashing sound from the lake. He stopped and looked at the water. Something was moving under the surface. Sam could see ripples spreading across the lake. Something big was down there. Sam walked faster, trying to get away from the lake as quickly as possible. The splashing sounds got louder. Whatever was in the water was following him. Sam started to run, but the ground was too slippery. He fell down, and his torch almost went out. Sam got up quickly and kept moving. Finally, he reached the other side of the lake. He found a passage that led away from the water. Sam ran into the passage and did not stop until the sounds from the lake were far behind him. Sam leaned against the cave wall and caught his breath. His heart was pounding and his hands were shaking. This cave was full of dangers. Every step could be his last. But he could not give up now. He was so close to the treasure. Sam continued deeper into the cave. The air got colder as he went down. He could see his breath in the light of his torch. He wrapped his blanket around his shoulders to keep warm. Then Sam came to a place that made him stop. In front of him was a deep hole in the ground. It was so deep that Sam could not see the bottom. And on the other side of the hole was the passage that led to the treasure. Sam had to find a way across. Sam looked around and saw that there were some rocks sticking out of the wall. They were like steps, but they were very small and very far apart. Sam would have to climb along the wall to get to the other side. It was extremely dangerous. If he fell, he would fall into the darkness below and never be seen again. Sam put his torch between his teeth so his hands would be free. Then he started to climb. He grabbed the first rock with his hands and put his feet on the rocks below. Slowly, carefully, he moved from one rock to another. The rocks were wet and slippery. Sam's hands kept slipping. His arms ached from holding on. But he kept going, one rock at a time, moving slowly toward the other side. When Sam was in the middle, something terrible happened. One of the rocks he was holding broke off from the wall. Sam screamed as he started to fall. But at the last moment, he grabbed another rock with his other hand. He hung there, his feet swinging over the darkness below, holding on with just one hand. Sam closed his eyes and took deep breaths. He could not panic now. Panicking would make him fall. He had to stay calm. He had to think. Slowly, Sam reached up with his other hand and grabbed a rock above him. Then he found places for his feet. He pulled himself up and continued climbing. His whole body was shaking, but he did not stop. Finally, after what felt like forever, Sam reached the other side of the hole. He collapsed on the ground and lay there for a long time, just breathing. Tears were running down his face. He had almost died, but he had made it. Sam got up and continued walking. His torch was getting smaller. It would not last much longer. He had to find the treasure soon, or he would be stuck in the darkness with no light. The passage went down and down. Sam walked as fast as he could. Then, suddenly, the passage opened into another large room. And in the middle of this room, Sam saw something that made his heart jump. There was a large stone chest sitting on a raised platform. It was covered with dust, and strange symbols were carved all over it. The symbols looked just like the ones on his grandfather's map. This was it. This was the treasure. Sam walked toward the chest slowly. He could not believe he had actually found it. After all the dangers he had faced, after all the fear and pain, he had finally reached his goal. He felt like crying and laughing at the same time, Sam climbed up onto the platform and stood in front of the chest. His hands were trembling as he reached out to open it. This was the moment he had been waiting for. This was the moment that would change his life forever. Sam pushed open the heavy stone lid of the chest. He looked inside, expecting to see gold and jewels and precious stones. But what he saw was something very different. Inside the chest, there was no gold. There were no jewels. Instead, there was an old leather bag, a book with a worn cover, and a letter sealed with red wax. Sam stared at these things with confusion. This was not what he had expected to find. Sam picked up the letter first. The seal on the letter had the same symbol that was on his grandfather's chest, a mountain with a star above it. Sam broke the seal and opened the letter. The handwriting was old and faded, but Sam could still read it. And as he read, his eyes grew wide with surprise. The letter was from his grandfather, and it was written to him. Sam held the letter with trembling hands and read it carefully. The words were written in his grandfather's handwriting, old but still clear. The letter said many things that Sam had never known before. The letter began by saying that his grandfather had always known that one day someone from his family would find this cave. He had hoped it would be Sam. The letter said that his grandfather had watched Sam as a baby before he died and had seen that Sam had the spirit of an explorer. He had seen curiosity in Sam's eyes, just like the curiosity that had driven him his whole life. The letter explained that the real treasure was not gold or jewels. The real treasure was knowledge. His grandfather had spent his whole life learning the secrets of the world. He had traveled to places that no one else had seen. He had discovered things that most people could not even imagine. And he had written everything down in the book that was inside the chest. His grandfather wrote that he had been sick when he hid this treasure. He knew he was going to die soon. He wanted to pass on everything he had learned to someone who would value it. He wanted his knowledge to live on even after he was gone. And so he had created the map and hidden this chest, hoping that someday someone worthy would find it. The letter ended with a message that made Sam's eyes fill with tears. His grandfather wrote that he was proud of whoever had made it this far. The journey to this cave was not easy. Only someone with courage, determination, and a true spirit of adventure could complete it. If Sam was reading this letter, it meant that he had all of these things. It meant that he was a true explorer, just like his grandfather. Sam put down the letter and wiped his eyes. He had come looking for gold, but he had found something much more valuable. He had found a connection to his grandfather. He had found proof that he came from a family of brave explorers. This was worth more than any treasure. Sam picked up the old leather bag and opened it. Inside, he found a collection of strange and wonderful things. There were seeds from plants that Sam had never seen before. There were small stones that glowed with a soft light. There were feathers from birds that lived in distant lands. Each item was labeled with small pieces of paper that explained what it was and where it came from. Then Sam picked up the book. It was heavy, with a thick leather cover. He opened it and saw page after page of writing and drawings. There were maps of places Sam had never heard of. There were drawings of animals and plants and people. There were descriptions of mountains and rivers and forests. His grandfather had written down everything he had ever discovered. Sam realized that this book was like a guidebook to adventure. It showed all the places his grandfather had explored. It told all the secrets he had learned. With this book, Sam could continue his grandfather's work. He could explore all the places his grandfather had been. He could discover new things and add them to the book. Sam felt a great excitement growing inside him. His adventure was not ending here. It was just beginning. This cave was not the final destination. It was the first step on a much longer journey. But first, Sam had to get out of the cave. His torch had almost burned out. Only a small flame was left, flickering weakly. Sam put the book, the leather bag, and the letter into his backpack. He closed the stone chest and climbed down from the platform. Sam looked at the map one more time. There was another path marked on it, a path that led out of the cave through a different way. This path was supposed to be faster and safer than the way Sam had come in. His grandfather had marked it on the map so that whoever found the treasure could escape easily. Sam followed this new path. It went up instead of down, climbing toward the surface. The path was narrow, but not as dangerous as the way he had come. There were no underground lakes or deep holes. Sam walked quickly, trying to reach the exit before his torch died completely. After a while, Sam started to see light ahead. It was not the light from his torch. It was daylight, coming from outside. Sam walked faster, and the light grew brighter. Finally, he stepped out of the cave and into the open air. Sam found himself on the other side of the mountain, in a small valley filled with trees. The sun was setting, painting the sky with beautiful colors of orange and red. Sam had never been so happy to see the sun. He sat down on a rock and breathed in the fresh air. He was out. He was safe. Sam looked back at the cave entrance. It looked small and harmless from outside, but Sam knew the dangers that waited inside. He had survived all of them. He had faced wolves and strange sounds and underground lakes and deep holes. He had almost died many times, but he had made it. Sam spent the night in the little valley, sleeping under the stars. He ate the last of his food and drank water from a small stream. He was very tired, but he could not sleep for a long time. He kept thinking about his grandfather and the letter and the book full of secrets. The next morning, Sam started his journey home. The way back was easier than the way there. He knew the path now. He knew which dangers to avoid. He walked through the Valley of Echoes without stopping. He went through the dark woods, staying away from the places where wolves might live. He crossed the green meadows and the silver river. After 3 days of walking, Sam finally saw his village in the distance. His heart filled with joy. He was home. He had made it. Sam walked into the village, tired and dirty, but happy. People stared at him as he passed. They had heard that he had disappeared. They had thought he was lost forever. But here he was, walking through the village streets like nothing had happened. Sam went straight to his house. He pushed open the door and saw his mother sitting at the kitchen table. She looked tired and sad. Her eyes were red from crying. When she saw Sam, she jumped up and ran to him. She hugged him so tight that Sam could barely breathe. His mother cried and laughed at the same time. She said she had been so worried. She said she had not slept for days. She said she had sent people to look for him, but no one could find him. She said she thought she had lost him forever. Sam hugged his mother back and told her he was sorry. He told her he had to go on an important journey. He told her about the map and the treasure and his grandfather. He showed her the letter and the book and the letter bag. He told her everything. His mother listened quietly as Sam told his story. Her eyes grew wide when she heard about the dangers he had faced. She shook her head when she heard about the wolf and the underground lake and the deep hole. But she also smiled when she heard about the letter from his grandfather. When Sam finished talking, his mother was quiet for a long time. Then she said something that surprised Sam. She said she had always known about the map. She said his grandfather had told her about it before he died. He had told her to let Sam find it when he was ready. He had said that one day, Sam would need to go on this journey. Sam could not believe what he was hearing. His mother had known all along. She had let him find the map. She had let him go on the adventure. She had been scared, but she had believed in him. Sam hugged his mother again. He felt closer to her than ever before. He also felt closer to his grandfather, even though he had never met him. He understood now that his family had a long history of exploration and adventure, and he was part of that history. That night, Sam sat in his room and looked through the book his grandfather had left for him. Page after page, he read about amazing places and incredible discoveries. He saw drawings of mountains that touched the clouds. He saw maps of islands that no ship had ever visited. He saw descriptions of animals that seemed like they came from fairy tales. Sam knew what he had to do. He had to continue his grandfather's work. He had to explore these places. He had to add new pages to this book. He had to become the explorer he was meant to be. But for now, Sam was tired. He put the book aside and lay down on his bed. Outside his window, he could see the stars shining in the night sky. The same stars his grandfather had seen many years ago. The same stars that would guide Sam on his future adventures. Sam closed his eyes and smiled. His first adventure was over, but many more adventures were waiting for him, and he could not wait to begin. Several weeks passed since Sam returned from his adventure. Life in the village went back to normal, but Sam was not the same boy he had been before. He had changed in many ways. He walked taller and spoke with more confidence. He was no longer afraid of small problems because he had faced much bigger dangers. The other children in the village looked at him differently now. They wanted to hear his stories. They wanted to know about the dark woods and the cave of shadows. They wanted to be like him. Sam spent many hours reading his grandfather's book. Each page revealed new wonders. He learned about a hidden waterfall in a distant mountain where the water was said to have healing powers. He learned about a lost city buried under desert sands, where ancient people had lived thousands of years ago. He learned about a forest where the trees grew so tall that their tops disappeared into the clouds. One day, Sam was sitting by the river, reading the book, when he heard someone call his name. He looked up and saw a girl walking toward him. Her name was Maya. She was the same age as Sam, with long black hair and eyes that sparkled with curiosity. She was the daughter of the village blacksmith, and she had always been different from the other children. She was bold and adventurous, and never satisfied with the boring life in the village. Maya sat down next to Sam and looked at the book. She asked what it was. Sam told her everything. He told her about his grandfather and the map and the treasure. He told her about the journey through the dark woods and the Valley of Echoes. He told her about the Cave of Shadows and the letter he had found. Maya listened with wide eyes. When Sam finished talking, she said something that surprised him. She said she wanted to come with him on his next adventure. She said she was tired of staying in the village, doing the same things every day. She said she wanted to see the world and discover new things. She said she wanted to be an explorer too. Sam looked at Maya for a long moment. He had always planned to go on his adventures alone. But as he looked at her eager face, he realized that having a companion might be good. Adventures were dangerous, and it would be safer to have someone watching his back. Besides, he liked Maya. She was brave and smart and funny. She would make a good partner. Sam smiled and said yes. He said they would go on their next adventure together. Maya smiled back and they shook hands to seal their agreement. From that day on, they were partners. Sam and Maya spent the next few weeks preparing for their journey. Sam studied the book and chose their destination. They would go to the Crystal Mountains, a range of peaks far to the east where, according to the book, there were caves filled with crystals that glowed with their own light. His grandfather had visited these mountains once, but had not been able to explore them fully. He had written that there were still many secrets waiting to be discovered there. Maya worked with her father to prepare supplies. She made a strong rope and a set of tools that would help them climb mountains. She also made small knives and hooks that could be useful in dangerous situations. She was good at making things with her hands, and her skills would be valuable on the journey. Sam told his mother about his plans. She was not happy at first. She did not want Sam to leave again. She had been so scared when he was gone. But Sam explained that this was who he was. He was an explorer, just like his grandfather. He could not stay in the village forever. He had to follow his dreams. His mother looked at him with sad but understanding eyes. She said she knew she could not stop him. She said his grandfather had been the same way. Nothing could keep him in one place for long. She said she would worry every day he was gone, but she would also be proud of him. Sam hugged his mother and promised to be careful. He promised to come back as soon as he could. He promised to write letters and send them whenever he found someone traveling toward the village. He would not disappear without any word like he had done before. The day of departure came on a bright spring morning. The whole village gathered to say goodbye to Sam and Maya. Sam's mother hugged him tight and told him to be safe. Maya's father gave her a new hammer he had made, small enough to carry, but strong enough to break rocks. The village elder gave them his blessing and wished them good luck on their journey. Sam and Maya walked out of the village together, their bags on their backs and excitement in their hearts. The road ahead was long and unknown. They did not know what dangers they would face. They did not know what wonders they would find, but they were ready for anything. The journey to the Crystal Mountains took many weeks. Sam and Maya walked through forests and plains. They crossed rivers and climbed hills. They met travelers on the road who told them stories about distant lands. They helped villagers who were in trouble and received food and shelter in return. They also faced dangers. One night, a group of bandits tried to rob them, but Sam and Maya fought back. Sam used the skills he had learned in the Cave of Shadows, and Maya used her strength and quick thinking. Together, they drove the bandits away and continued on their journey. Another time, they got lost in a thick fog that covered everything like a white blanket. They could not see the path or the sun or the stars. They wandered for 2 days, getting more and more lost. But Sam remembered something from his grandfather's book. It said that moss always grows on the north side of trees. By following the moss, Sam and Maya found their way out of the fog and back onto the right path. Finally, after many weeks of travel, Sam and Maya saw the Crystal Mountains rising in the distance. The mountains were beautiful beyond words. Their peaks were white with snow, and their sides were covered with green forests. They looked like something from a dream. Sam and Maya climbed into the mountains, following the path described in the book. The air got thinner as they went higher. They had to stop often to catch their breath. But they kept going, driven by their desire to see the crystal caves. On the 3rd day of climbing, they found the entrance to the caves. It was hidden behind a waterfall, just as the book had said. They walked through the cold water and entered a tunnel that led deep into the mountain. What they saw inside made them stop and stare in wonder. The caves were filled with crystals of every color: red, blue, green, yellow, purple. The crystals grew from the walls and the ceiling and the floor, and each crystal glowed with a soft, beautiful light. It was like walking through a rainbow. Sam and Maya explored the caves for hours. They found rooms filled with crystals as big as houses. They found underground lakes where the water reflected the crystal light like mirrors. They found passages that led deeper and deeper into the mountain, to places that no human had ever seen. In one of the deepest caves, Sam found something amazing. It was a wall covered with ancient paintings. The paintings showed people and animals and symbols that Sam did not recognize. They were very old, maybe thousands of years old. Sam realized that ancient people had lived in these caves long ago. They had left these paintings as a message for future generations. Sam took out his grandfather's book and began to draw what he saw. He copied the paintings and the symbols. He wrote descriptions of everything. He was adding new pages to the book, just as he had promised himself he would do. Maya watched him with a smile. She said that Sam was a true explorer now. He was not just following in his grandfather's footsteps. He was making his own path. He was discovering new things that no one else had found. He was becoming a legend. Sam smiled back. He knew that this was just the beginning. There were still many places to explore, many secrets to uncover, many adventures to have. But for now, he was happy. He was doing what he loved. He was living his dream. Sam and Maya stayed in the Crystal Mountains for several days, exploring every cave and every tunnel. Then they began their journey home, their bags filled with small crystals and their minds filled with memories. As they walked, Sam thought about the future. He thought about all the places he still wanted to see. He thought about all the things he still wanted to learn. He thought about his grandfather and how proud he would be. And he thought about Maya, his friend and partner, who had made this adventure so much better. Sam realized that the treasure he had found was not just the book or the crystals or the knowledge. The real treasure was the journey itself. It was the challenges he had overcome and the fears he had conquered. It was the friends he had made and the memories he had created. It was becoming the person he was meant to be. And as the sun set behind the mountains and the stars came out to light the way home, Sam knew that his story was far from over. It was only just beginning. There would be more maps to follow, more caves to explore, more secrets to discover. And Sam would be ready for all of them. Because Sam was an explorer. It was in his blood. It was in his heart. It was who he was and who he would always be. And nothing in the world could ever change that.